So it sounds like you've really been hitting the ground running with your job search this year.
Yeah, definitely a lot of activity.
I mean, sending out applications,
Yeah.
and you've been working on that CV and even doing some online learning.
Always good to keep those skills fresh.
It is. And then on top of that, you're bringing all this experience to the table, like being part of a team and, working abroad last year.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a big one.
It is. And even giving that presentation you mentioned.
Definitely builds confidence.
Absolutely. But, you know, it sounds like that previous role wasn't quite the right fit.
Happens to the best of us,
Yeah, and it really pushed you to go out and look for something that really aligns with your strengths.
which is so important.
It is. And now you're at this really interesting point where you've got this job offer on the table, but you're not totally sure about it.
A good problem to have.
It is a good problem to have,
Yeah.
but a tricky one nonetheless. And this whole idea of finding that role where your soft skills and practical experience are truly valued. I mean, that's what we're going to dive into today.
That's the heart of it.
It is. And we've got some really cool resources to help us unpack all of
I'm
this.
excited to see what we've got.
So we've got excerpts about effective job searching, the essential vocabulary for navigating the career world. We're even going to look at how we use grammar to talk about our work experiences.
Oh, that's always fascinating.
It is, right?
Yeah.
Because it can make such a difference. And then we've got these real life examples of what the job search is really like, those relatable stories.
People need to hear those.
Absolutely. And our mission today is to connect all of this directly to what you're going through right now, to offer insights that can help you make the best decision about this job offer and, just navigate your job search in general.
I love that because it is such a personal journey for everyone.
It is. And what's really striking as we dive into this material is how much it speaks to all these different things you're thinking about right now.
Like it's a symphony.
It is. It's not just about, should I take this job or not, but it's about, understanding the whole language of moving forward in your career and how to showcase everything you've got.
Right. You've got to sell yourself.
You do. And you've
Right.
got to sell yourself in the right way.
With the right words.
With the right words. Exactly. So let's start with how you talk about those past experiences.
The foundation.
It's the foundation, right? Because whether it's on your CV, in a cover letter, or when you're chatting in an interview, being able to express what you've done clearly and effectively, I mean, that's key.
It's everything.
It is. And the source material actually gives us this really handy way to think about this through the present perfect and the past simple tenses.
Oh, the grammar stuff.
Yeah, the grammar stuff, but it's actually really useful.
I'm all ears.
Okay, so think about your time working abroad last year and giving that presentation.
Good times.
They were good times,
Nice.
right? Those are like completed actions that happened at a specific moment in the past,
Mm-hmm.
so they naturally fit into the past simple tense. And the source has these great examples like, I worked there last year, or he gave a talk yesterday.
Crystal clear.
Totally right. Those are those nice, neat moments in time.
They happen and they're done.
Exactly. And then we shift gears to the present perfect tense.
Ooh, things get interesting.
They do. So the source points out that we use this tense for life experiences that don't have a specific time attached to them, or for actions that are still relevant now.
I see where you're going with this.
Right. So thinking about your experience working abroad, someone might ask you, have you ever worked abroad?
And that's present perfect.
Exactly. Because they're focusing on that experience itself as part of your overall background, not necessarily like the exact dates.
Makes total sense.
And the source also mentions using the present perfect for actions that fall within a period that's not finished yet, like this year.
Okay, so like present day stuff.
Right. So you mentioned doing some online learning this year. So you could say, I've engaged in online learning recently.
Present perfect strikes again.
It does, because this year is still going on.
But if I finished a specific course, say last June.
That's when you switch back to the past simple, because that course has a definite endpoint.
Gotcha. So it's all about the time frame.
It really is. And the cool thing is that this little difference in tense can actually influence how a potential employer sees your background.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like using the present perfect can suggest that you're always learning and growing and that you've got this wide range of experiences.
So it shows you're adaptable and keen to learn new things.
Exactly. While the past simple gives those concrete examples and achievements within specific roles.
So it's like choosing the right tool for the job.
It is. And understanding when to use each one lets you really strategically highlight different parts of your story.
Clever.
Right? And this is where it gets super practical, because the source lays out all this key vocabulary that's basically the language of the job search.
The secret code.
Kind of is. And we see terms like apply for a job, which you've been doing a lot of job interview, which hopefully is on the horizon. And then, of course, the all-important CV or curriculum vitae.
You can't escape that one.
You can't, it's essential. And then we've got qualifications and experience, both of which you've got in spades, especially with your time working abroad.
Those are the big hitters.
They are. And it's so important to think about how these terms connect to what you're aiming for.
Yeah,
You want a role that values soft skills.
absolutely.
Things like being able to work effectively in a team and that confidence you showed when you gave that presentation.
Right, those are gold.
They are. And then your practical skills are also a huge asset. And that ties into all that online learning you've been doing.
It all adds up.
It does. And being able to recognize and clearly explain these connections is super important.
Like connecting the dots for them.
Exactly. And your journey so far is reflected in other terms from the source.
Yeah.
You've written a CV with the goal to get hired, and now you're actually considering a job offer.
Making moves.
You are. And the fact that you worked abroad is a big part of your experience. And having given a presentation shows specific times when you've used your skills.
Putting it all into practice.
Exactly. And if
Well-
you zoom out a bit, being fluent in this vocabulary isn't just about understanding job descriptions.
There's more to it.
It's about confidently telling your professional story and understanding the expectations and the lingo that employers use.
So you can speak their language.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And it allows you to position yourself strategically in the job market.
like you belong there.
Absolutely you do. And now let's talk about those phrasal verbs.
Oh, yeah. Those can be tricky.
They can be, but they're everywhere. And the source gives us some really relevant ones for where you are right now.
Hit me with them.
Okay, so apply for a job. That's a basic one you're very familiar with. But given that you've got this offer on the table, turn down an offer becomes super relevant.
Big decision time.
It is, you're literally deciding whether to turn down this opportunity.
Nail biter.
It can be.
Mm-hmm.
And then thinking about your experience in a team, the phrasal verb get on with someone highlights how important those relationships are at work.
You've got to be able to work with people.
You do. And then we've got look for, which is what you did after that previous job didn't work out. You actively look for something better.
Always striving for more.
Exactly. And the hope is that you'll soon find out some good news about your job search.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. And the source actually includes this little story that sounds a lot like your situation.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it says, I've been looking for a new job since the beginning of this year. I've written my CV, applied for different positions.
That's familiar.
Right? It's like looking in a mirror and then it goes on. One company has already offered me a job, but I turned it down because it didn't match my career goals.
Wow, that hits close to home.
It does, right? And it shows that this whole internal debate you're having about this offer is something that tons of people go through when they're trying to find a fulfilling career.
It's not just me.
Not at all. And the source really emphasizes this idea of aligning a job with your career goals.
You've got to know what you want.
You do. And that should be a major factor as you're thinking about this opportunity.
For sure.
And there's this other powerful statement that says, these experiences have helped me build my soft skills and gain more confidence. It's so good, right? And it connects directly to your goal of using those soft skills you've developed through teamwork and presentations.
And that time working abroad probably helped a ton, too.
Oh, absolutely. Navigating a professional environment in another country, that takes adaptability, communication skills, problem solving, all those top-notch soft skills.
Trial by fire.
It can be, and the source gives us a great example. Last year, I worked in a small company where I learned a lot. I gave talks, managed a team.
Real-world experience?
It is.
Yeah.
And it just shows how valuable those diverse experiences are in building a well-rounded skill set, which you've totally done.
You're a rock star.
So bringing it all back to this job offer you're considering the source really encourages us to think about the why behind our career choices.
The big why.
The big why, right? And that example of turning down a job because it didn't match my career goals. I mean, that's something you need to think about right now.
It's decision time.
It is, what are your big career dreams? What do you really want to achieve? And does this offer truly fit into that vision?
Yeah, does it tick the box?
And that raises another question. What does match my career goals actually mean for you?
Deep stuff.
It is, right?
Yeah.
Is it about the type of work itself, the opportunities to grow professionally, the company culture, or maybe it's a mix of all those things and more?
It's personal.
It is. And the source also mentions wanting to find a position where I can grow and use everything I've learned.
That's the dream.
It is.
Yeah.
And that's such a crucial way to look at this potential new role. Does it give you the chance to expand your skills and really use what you already know?
Like a launch pad.
Exactly. So to sum up our deep dive, we've explored how understanding grammar, specifically the present perfect and past simple tenses, can help you explain your professional journey in a really clear way.
Right, so no more grammar fear.
No more grammar fear. And we've looked at the essential vocabulary of the job search and seen how your own experiences and goals fit into that picture.
You're speaking the language.
I am. And those phrasal verbs we talked about, they capture the ups and downs of the job hunt, especially that big decision of maybe turning down an offer.
It's all part of the process.
It is. And ultimately, the source material, especially that example of choosing career alignment over just accepting any offer, it really highlights how important it is to think deeply about your own motivations and make sure that any job you take allows you to grow and use your amazing soft skills and practical experience.
Yeah, find that place where you can thrive.
Exactly. And it reinforces this idea that a successful job search isn't just about getting any job.
Yeah.
It's about strategically finding the right opportunity, the one that aligns with your long-term goals and truly values everything you bring to the table.
You deserve that.
Everyone does. So as you're figuring out this job offer and looking ahead to what's next, take some time to really pinpoint those specific soft skills and practical experiences that you're most confident about. You know, the ones you want to showcase.
Like your superpowers.
They are. And how can you best communicate the value of those skills, not just on your CV, but in conversations about this offer and in future interviews? Sell it and really think about what growth means to you in your career. What kind of environment and opportunities will help you not just succeed, but truly thrive and keep learning.
Yeah, what will light your fire?
That's the question. That's your big takeaway.
Some food for thought.
Food for thought. Absolutely.
Thanks for the deep dive.
Thanks for joining me.